Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. It's Ari. I'm Korea. It is November 18th here on this Monday. Obviously, we're coming on a Monday, which means obviously we had a big weekend of NFL and college football, but not a big weekend for us. Tough weekend for us. Let's just get right into it. Obviously, Friday and Saturday for me, just horrible, just absolutely tough. It was a tough day. First, for college basketball, I did have the 1-1 day with Purdue, Alabama over 163, and then Maryland -2. First, Purdue, Alabama on the basketball court. That was great to see. Obviously, that was a fun, exciting game. Coming down to the wire. It went over, but obviously, I always kind of had a feeling it would. It was a little bit of a slow start, but these offenses really started to get cooking more toward the second half. Purdue had the outright win at home, so that's nice to see, and that's what I was backing. I said if Purdue's going to win this game, they're going to win it with their offense, and that's exactly what they did. They were shooting the ball really well. They scored 85. So obviously that helps for the over there. And then Alabama, I knew they were going to score eventually, to make this game interesting, obviously, being as, they were getting as high as about 3.5. So to 4-point favorites on the road. So I knew this was going to be a good game back and forth. And it definitely was. We saw Alabama go on some runs, Purdue go on some runs. So that was a great win there. And then a tough loss for Maryland -2 there. For me, I was just thinking, Maryland in the spot. I even said it on Friday. I said I was a little concerned because this Maryland team was very young, and it definitely showed. It's hard. It's a system play for me, but at the same time, I went back on myself and I said, this is a young Maryland team versus a veteran Marquette team, and I always love backing veteran teams in this spot because they can force turnovers and they don't really turn over the ball themselves. And we saw it be pretty evident. Maryland wasn't really making their shots. They were turning over the ball at an alarming rate. They even had plenty of chances to get this game interesting, but they just missed shots when they needed to. And obviously, Cam Jones is going to be Cam Jones. Whether or not you like it or not. So that's that's pretty much how Marquette plays. And I shout out Marquette, obviously very veteran team. In the spot now, and they have a big game against Purdue, so that's going to be a big matchup. I think tomorrow those two schools face off, and it's going to be a fun, exciting, high-scoring matchup between the two. I think it was a recap of last year's Maui Invitational Championship game, and we saw how far Purdue went. Obviously, going all the way to the national championship. Marquette, obviously, they were the second best team in the Big East last year. So two good schools, obviously. So Maryland was a tough loss, but like I said, on the pod, on Friday, it was more of it's a system, but it was a hesitant system just because there's so much classing. So tough loss there. And then this weekend, unfortunately, Ari, the Oregon State
Yeah,
Air Force.
I don't know what. I
You know
just
what? Oregon State is just so bad. Oregon State's so bad. They're so bad. It was. I saw a video right after, and this is no blame on Air Force because you see the score. Air Force did their job right. They put up 28 points, right? Oregon State is so bad. They're so bad. Their offensive line is bad, and because their offensive line is bad, they can't get their run game, which is usually good. It's bad. Their pass game is bad. They don't have that much. They can't stop the run. They can occasionally stop the pass, but they let the big plays happen. Oregon State is just a horrible program, and this is hard for me to say. Right, because there are Pac-12, brothers, as a Coug here, and we face them this weekend, and I will be there at this game. But part of me is it's hard to say this right without love, but Oregon State is just so bad. They are atrocious. 5-game they don't even score a single point against the Air Force. Right. This is not even like the Navy. Right. This is not the Navy. Right. Who has a shaky defense. This isn't the Army, who has one of the best defense out of the 3 academy schools. This is the Air Force, and they couldn't get a single point. And then that Georgia Tennessee under never had a chance. It was back and forth. Big explosive play there. Big explosive play on the other side. It was a 17-17 half. You knew that game was going over. I had a chance in the second half, obviously, with how slow the second half pretty much was, but. Obviously, Georgia won 31-17. They were up 31-17 at one point. Obviously, that's going over. The thing about this game, which was weird, I thought obviously with the fact that with all these losses, that these offenses would have a hard time against each other's defense, but looked like it was just offenses came out of nowhere on Saturday. I haven't seen this Georgia offense since the Alabama game, and then for Tennessee, I haven't seen this offense since they I think they beat Kent State like 73-0 in that one game. Like where was that offense? So just tough Saturday. But obviously I'll take the the Purdue Alabama over. Like I said, I might be sticking to the college basketball court for a little while here. Obviously, just trying to turn out some constant winners for you guys, and looks like the constant winners are staying on the basketball court for college. So it might be just sticking with that. But obviously, we still have a great couple weeks of college football left. Ari, it was a tough week for me. How'd those Mormon Soakers do for you?
Yeah, not any better for me. I mentioned leaning towards Boston College covering, which did happen, but I thought it would be in a lower scoring game, obviously, with my play here, and that was not the case. It was 38-28. It was like the Georgia Tennessee play where you knew by halftime it was going to go over. I mean, the first quarter was looking, pretty good. I mean, it was 10-0 SMU, so that's what the spread was suggesting was an SMU win pretty easily. And then Boston College comes back and scores 2 touchdowns in the second quarter and gets back into the game. And they're pretty much in the game the whole way. But the under never had a chance after the first or from the second quarter on, basically. And then BYU's Voodoo Magic finally went away. They were looking pretty good to cover with, 10 minutes left when they had the little pooch punt by Daniels, by the Kansas quarterback, and the ball hitting the BYU players back. Like that's the type of thing that went in BYU's favor basically the whole season. And then obviously it didn't there, and even still BYU had a chance at the end, getting it at the 10 or 11 yard line in the final seconds or final minute, I should say. But yeah, finally lose, and now they have a big game against ASU, who's on fire this weekend. So that would be a big game for the Big 12. But yeah, BYU finally takes their first loss after, so half their wins at least were, they had something go their way. And then now the opposite happens in this one.
Yeah, obviously, first Boston College SMU. That under never had a chance. Gary James was pretty much going through that SMU defense. Somehow, obviously, SMU was trying to respond. It was pretty, SMU had a pretty substantial lead at one point, and then BYU started to claw their way back, obviously kind of pushing for that over. And obviously, I saw you had the first half under, which obviously did not help as well. That went slightly over as well. So Boston College, like I said, you might as well just put them on your ban list. Sorry, that program is just absolutely just. There's some questions going on with that program. But obviously, you mentioned the Winsanity run for BYU is over. Obviously, the Voodoo Magic has run out on them. Obviously, Kansas upsetting BYU on the road here. Look, obviously, you just kind of back in the fact, if this was going to be the team of destiny this year, obviously, all things have to go their way. But obviously, you mentioned pretty much last drive for BYU. They were, in the red zone for Kansas, and they had a great chance, to take the lead and, win the game at home. But obviously, they couldn't get anything. They had, I think, was it the false start on that 4th and 6, making it 4th and even longer, which just is, it just kills the drive or kills the momentum, going all that way just to go backwards on penalties, so that was tough to see as well. I also had BYU on the money line as well, just, thinking that, they're going to find a way to somehow win this game, but obviously they did not, lost outright. And so obviously, you mentioned big game in Tempe for BYU now against ASU for pretty much right now for a potential spot in the Big 12 championship game with how, this is shaping up now. But obviously that's a big weekend coming up ahead. But obviously we have one more day, yesterday, Sunday, NFL, tough, just, God, 0-2 once again. First, the Browns, never had a chance. Never had a chance, right? Of course, another week where
don't get me started with Dustin Hopkins at the end of the first half, missing a 30-yard field goal, and then they, the Saints got called for holding, and he gets another chance from 27 yards, and he shanks. I mean, at the end, maybe it wouldn't have mattered, but still, those little things, momentum matters, obviously. So,
yeah, there was a lot of just that kind of nonsense yesterday where you have a missed field goal and it just kills your momentum, and obviously the Saints capitalize on that. We saw it was pretty close in the first half, but then I saw an alert on my phone. It said Marquez Valdez Scantling 71-yard TD, and I just said, I was like, what are we doing? Oh, the Browns, man. Oh, they did it to themselves. I mean, I know you'll probably explain about, I know you'll go on your rant about them as well, but the Ravens and Steelers, that one just never. That's another one, Ari, where, missed field goals from Mr. Reliable, Justin Tucker. You would think him. But at the same time, both of these teams never really got anything going in the first half. It was more second half. Obviously, the final score was 18-16. But you think, if Justin Tucker made those field goals, maybe, we had a chance here. It was obviously 14 point, whatever. Just another tough Sunday. The NFL, man. Ari, you want to talk about how the Browns are just annoying to bet on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was weird because Hopkins missed the field goal or 2 field goals late in the first half, or the last minute in the first half, which obviously was brutal. But then even still, they got the touchdown 2-point conversion to tie the game, I think, early in the second half. And at that point, you thought they had a chance. And then Taysom Hill turns into the next coming of Michael Vick, or whatever you want to compare him to. Yeah,
the
3 rushing touchdowns.
The new Vanilla Vic, as we call him, because Daniel Jones has officially been benched. We're giving that to Taysom Hill now.
But yeah, just Saints are now 2-0 since they fired Dennis Allen, so maybe they are better. But even still, I'm not buying into the Saints. It's just, the Browns are just bad. Both teams are bad. It was a bad play. So on to this week. But the bets aside, Seahawks fans, it was still a good Sunday. Finally getting over I think that's the first win since Russell Wilson left over San Francisco, I think. So now they host Arizona next week. You beat them, and you're in first place in the NFC Midwest. So, yeah.
Yeah, the NFC. The NFC mid, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, the NFC West this year. But obviously, Browns, that was a tough read. Obviously, I already talked about it. Just tough read. They had a chance, as you mentioned, when they got the touchdown in the 2-point. But, Taysom Hill became the new Vanilla Vic, just running through that team, had 3 rushing touchdowns on the afternoon. Obviously, 35-14 win. Tough, just we'll move on, obviously. New week, obviously, here. Today is Monday, obviously, November 18th here. I got 2 plays, of course, going back on the basketball court college here. First, taking McNeese State here, -4 at home, -112 here. Look, I saw these 2 teams, right? I saw the records, and I saw the 2 teams from yesterday, right? I saw this matchup yesterday, and I didn't even know what the line was. I said if McNeese is a short favorite in any way, shape, or form, I am hammering this. And here we go. This is the trap. Everyone's going to be taking, North Texas +4 on the road, right? Because they're a good team. They just beat Minnesota. That's the trap of the night here. McNeese State's going to roll them. And this is why, right? They were growing. I think they opened as a 2.5 to 3-point favorite. And now they're up as all the way to 4 here, right? McNeese, right? They're 1-2. You look at the 2 losses for them on the season, right? Their last loss was obviously against Alabama, and that was at Alabama, and we had McNeese State to cover there. They lost by 8, right? And I love backing this team this year, right? And this is the spot where I think they just get an outright dominant win against a good program here in North Texas, right? Both teams love to play slow, right? They love to play a slow game of basketball. They don't like to push the tempo. They like to have the other team dedicate the tempo to them so they can slow them down, right? And if you're North Texas, right, you want to push the pace against the team, right? Because you're going to win. Because if you slow the game down, that's what McNeese State loves. They love a team that can slow the game down and just force a bad shot. So then on the opposite side, McNeese can, run their offense and have a afternoon or evening per se, where they just dominate on the glass and obviously dominate just in terms of, their presence, their defensive presence, right? You're getting McNeese State at 4 here. I would take it if it gets to as high as 5. I would halt, but like I said, this line opened at 2.5. It's already at 4. I got it at 3.5. I still like it here, obviously, for the push potential at 4. I think this team's gonna roll here. I think this is the better team in this spot here. When you look at these two teams here. Obviously, North Texas coming off a big win against Minnesota on the road, but this Minnesota team, they're missing their second best player. Dawson Garcia is a good guy. He's a great baller, but outside of him, they don't really have anyone. So Minnesota can't really, they don't really have any other reliable shooters. And when you have this McNeese State team where they have Shoemate, they have Allen Breed, they have so many dependable shooters, especially at home, and I'm going to take him. So I love McNeese State minus the 4 at home. Like I said, I'll take them all the way up to 5. I think this is going to be I'm putting 2 units on this play. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think McNeese State rolls here. This is the game that they've been waiting for, a team that can slow the tempo down and play basketball to their style. In their other loss against South Dakota State, South Dakota State love to kind of push the ball up tempo, kind of go fast, but with how low scoring this North Texas team is, they love to slow the game down. Obviously, like to limit opposing shots, but that's how McNeese State loves to play. They love to play slow. So I think that if they can dictate the tempo to their play against a team that is similar to them, I think they have a great shot at winning this game by more than 4. I think they may win this game by double even digits. So I think, so McNeese State minus the 4 there. And then the other game here, we're taking Wichita State here, a team we already backed on the season, just in terms of the total. Now we're taking them on the spread here, minus 16, minus 125 for a whole unit against Monmouth here. And I'm just kind of fading the fact that, Monmouth is coming off of a game where they covered against Rutgers, but you look at the box score against that game against Rutgers, and you see only one guy really doing the job for them. And the guy's name is, I think is Abdi Bashir Jr., right? That man was a complete bucket I think it was on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, in their last game, or Friday. I think it was Friday. Yeah, he was a bucket. He dropped 38 points. He made 10 threes, Ari. He was 10 of 17 from three-point range. He went 6 of 6 from the line and 11 of 23 from the field. I put my hands up and said, hey, 10 threes, you're him. But I think he comes back down to earth now, right? You're going to have your 38-point games, right? I just don't see him sustaining that, right? That staying momentum, right? Because Monmouth, right, they're a good shooting team, right? But so is Wichita State, and Wichita State is better defensively, right? This Rutgers team, they're not that good defensively. And I think the young team in Rutgers we saw that young team, right? That freshman, obviously, Dylan Harper, the Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper hype. We saw that, right? And I think this is the game where Monmouth comes back down to earth, right? You're only getting Wichita State at 16 is because of the fact that, Monmouth pretty much covered their last game against Rutgers. And now people are thinking, oh, Monmouth, they got to go play Wichita State. But this Wichita State team is very good. I think they're one of the better teams outside of, the big schools and all the bigger conferences in the American Conference that actually has a good shot of potentially even making a run in March as well, because of the fact that they are a high-scoring team. Like I said, they don't turn over the ball. They are great at the line. And defensively, they get rebounds. They're 50th in the country in rebounding. Defensively, they're 35th in blocks in the country. Look, this team plays a lot better on both sides of the ball, and I think this is a great matchup to back him here at minus 16 against a good Monmouth team that's obviously still going on the road. Yes, I love Abdi Bashir Jr., but I think he has a bad matchup here against Justin Hill, he's gonna have to defend a lot. And Justin Hill, that dude's a bucket, right? I've seen this dude at Georgia. That dude is a bucket, right? And this year, he's dropped 31, 17, and 17 in all 3 of his games so far. I think he continues that against a really bad Monmouth defense. Like I said, Monmouth, they rank outside the top 300 in almost everything statistically for defense. They don't block that much. They don't rebound, and they don't get that many steals versus Wichita State, who is one of the better teams in rebounding and block. So I think that just contributes to Wichita State beatdown here at home. So I'm taking the minus 16 there. Those are my 2 plays that I love today. McNeese State minus the 4 at home. That's my 2-unit play. And then Wichita State minus 16, minus 125. That's my 1-unit play today. Those are my 2 plays on this Monday here. Ari, what have you cooked up on this Monday?
Yep, going to the NBA hardwood, and nothing I love in the spreads. So going a little different than usual here with the little moneyline parlay with the Heat and Warriors. I'll start off with the Heat, who are taking on Philly. Joel Embiid is doubtful, so he'll probably be out. So it'll be Paul George and Like I talked about before, Jared McCain, who is now the heavy favorite right now to win Rookie of the Year, with how well he's played without Tyrese Maxey. But I still think that the Heat overall, like when I took the Knicks over the Sixers, the same situation here where I think the Heat overall, top to bottom, will be too much for just basically two players, maybe three for Philly. I think Jimmy Butler's out again for Miami, so it does hurt them, but still Miami's a 5.5-point favorite. I think they could cover, but I'm just going with them just to win with this play here. Pair with the Warriors, taking on the Clippers. Curry is questionable, but I think he's still going to play. It's a knee injury, not the ankle that he missed time with earlier, so I think he should be fine. And the Warriors, like I've said here, our team I like to back. And one of their two losses are against this Clippers team, so they're, not revenge necessarily, but they're trying to get their bounce back against the Clippers, who again are one of their only two losses on the season. They're also 4.5, 5-point favorites. So just pairing those two, the Heat and Warriors, who are both in the 4.5 to 5.5 point favorite range, just to win outright together for plus 134. A lot of not a lot of spreads that I loved. Kind of take straight up. So on this Monday slate, just going with this Heat Warriors moneyline parlay for them to both win.
Yeah, I do like that for you. Obviously, sometimes you just got to keep it simple. You just want two teams to win. Obviously, on a money line parlay here. Obviously, first with the Heat. Obviously, you mentioned they're back home. Obviously, against the Sixers team. Obviously, no Jimmy no Jimmy, but I do love this Heat team, as you mentioned. One of the better teams. In the Sixers, obviously, outside of Jeremy McCain being a star for them right now in the making, obviously leading Rookie of the Year odds right now. I still think that the Heat obviously get the win here at home, obviously. And then you mentioned the Warriors. Obviously, I'm going to back them all the times I can. You mentioned, there's another injury question with Curry, obviously, with his knee. But I still think, obviously you mentioned that with the revenge narrative in mind, as one of the two losses on the season coming, to this Clipper team for the Warriors. I do like the Warriors just straight up on the money line as well. Just a simple money line parlay for you in the NBA, plus 134 with the Heat and Warriors. You put those two, obviously comes out to those odds. So that's why I love Ari's play there. Just Heat and Warriors on the money line here, and the money line parlay with my two plays for the college basketball court. McNeese minus the 4, minus 112 here. That's a 2-unit play. And then Wichita State at home minus 16 against Monmouth. That's minus 125, 1-unit play. Of course, you can find all of these, of course, on our Twitter below, AKP Sports Talk. We're going to have both this video and, of course, our full cards posted momentarily. That's going to do it for this episode. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back. We got some more college football tomorrow. We got Maction, Mari. We got some more Maction. We have the game of the year. Are you ready for this? 2-8 Akron, 0-10 Kent State. Wow. That's going to be having eyes on that one. I'm telling you. We got some more NBA, of course, more college, of course, tomorrow, about all basketball as well. That's doing it for this episode. That's I'm Korea. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace out, guys.